For what they did,
Yeah.
honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
Continuing our analysis of Donald Trump's recent disturbing interview with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, one of the unhinged things that Trump said during the conversation was that he was open to prosecuting his political opponents, including President Biden, and then went further by explicitly stating that some of his political opponents should go to jail. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, one of the things that we have heard from Trump supporters, from centrists, from people who say that they're reasonable, is that Donald Trump talks a lot of smack during the campaign. He says shit. You know, you got to take him not literally, you just got to take him seriously. And that now that the campaign is over, all of that rhetoric is just going to go by the wayside. Well, Trump seems to be doubling down on some of it, at least in spirit, because when given an opportunity multiple times by Kristen Welker of NBC to run away from the go jail your political opponents line, Trump seems to be doubling down on it. So we're going to play a couple of clips and unpack it together, starting with what is in some ways the less severe of the two clips, which is still pretty bad.
Because what you're saying is significant. Because you wrote on Truth Social in 2023 that you're going to appoint a real special prosecutor to go after Joe Biden. Now you're saying you're not going to do that.
I will say this. No, I'm not doing that unless I find something that I think is reasonable. But that's not going to be my decision. That's going to be Pam Bondi's decision, and to a different extent, Kash Patel. Assuming they're...
Because what you're saying...
So Trump has a certain level of cunning about him. I mean, he is stupid in a lot of ways. He's certainly one of the dumber presidents that we've had, but he's not without his cunning. And what I mean by that is, notice the doublespeak. Well, no, I'm not going to do that, even though I promised to do it repeatedly on the campaign trail. But if I do find something worth prosecuting, then I will do it, thus doubling down on the campaign rhetoric that he will prosecute President Biden, a former president, by the way. I thought Trump says you shouldn't go after former presidents. I thought he said that's banana republic stuff, even though he actually advocated for prosecuting former President Obama when Trump himself was president. So it really just seems like Trump is an unprincipled, hypocritical liar and loser, and so many people are just willing to make exceptions for him for very stupid reasons. But then he says, you know, it's not even going to be so much my decision as it is Pam Bondi, who he has nominated to be his attorney general, and Kash Patel, his FBI director nominee. We're going to come back to Kash Patel because, again, this just gives the game away, because he specifically appointed somebody who will do those sorts of things and say, oh, it won't be my decision. It'll be Kash Patel. So here's the more unhinged or more explicitly unhinged clip from the conversation, because it's here that Trump says that certain people should go to jail that he doesn't like.
And Cheney was behind it. And so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did,
Yeah.
honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think
I think
should go to
everybody
jail.
Anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
No, not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that, but I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
So we are drill, baby, drilling. Again, energy production is higher domestically in terms of both fossil fuels and alternative energy. It's higher under President Biden than it was under Donald Trump. But again, he tries to have some plausible deniability. Yes, I think I am publicly signaling to my supporters and to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, who are probably watching, that I do want Benny Thompson, the Democratic chair of the House January 6th Select Committee, and Liz Cheney, former Republican Congresswoman who is the vice chair. I want them and every other member of that committee, including Adam Schiff, to go to jail. I do think they should go to jail. And even Kristen Welker was like, wait, so you're saying that Liz Cheney should go to jail? Are you going to direct your FBI director? No, of course not. My FBI director, who is watching this interview and is taking very careful note of what I'm saying, and who was appointed specifically because he wants to prosecute my opponents, am I going to order him to investigate my political opponents? No. You watching, Kash? Kash, you watching? That's where, unfortunately, so many bad faith MAGA Republicans and centrists will try to cling to this. Well, he didn't explicitly say, Kash Patel, I am ordering you once you're confirmed to go after my political opponents. Well, why would he when Kash Patel has said shit like this.
Yes, we got the bench for it, Bannon, and you know those guys. I'm not going to go out there and say their names right now so the radical left-wing media can terrorize them. But, excuse me, the one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go-around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom. And we got them for law enforcement. We got them for intel collection. We got them for offensive operations. We got them for DOD, CIA, everywhere. And the one thing we will do that they never will do is we will follow the facts and the law and go to courts of law and correct these justices and lawyers who have been prosecuting these cases based on politics and actually issuing them as lawfare. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators.
Yes, that is why you're tyrannical. That is why you're dictators. That is why so many people hate you. Because what you are doing is something that we have never heard from a Democrat like President Biden or Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama to viciously, publicly, enthusiastically campaign on not even just a specific person, not just, I think so-and-so committed a crime, so they're open to investigation. You're talking about going after Donald Trump's critics, his political opponents, and people who rigged the 2020 election. And by the way, we got to do a video about that because believe it or not, Donald Trump, even in this interview, said that the 2020 election was stolen. And that in and of itself, there's so much there. But the point is, the 2020 election wasn't stolen. So you have created this imaginary crime, which kind of gives you carte blanche to come up with all kinds of dishonest, hallucinated, deluded, vectors for investigation, right? Because there's no actual crime there. So you're just making shit up, Kash Patel. And so when Trump defers to Kash Patel and says, listen, this guy who I nominated because he has repeatedly talked about going after my political opponents, I know that, he knows I want him to do that. That's the reason he was put into this position. Well, I'm not going to give him a direct order to do the thing he already said he was going to do if he was given that position and that he knows I want him to do in the first place. And also, I am saying, just in case he's watching, yeah, I do believe Benny Thompson, Liz Cheney, and others should go to jail. And if President Biden has committed a crime that is worthy of investigation, he should be investigated. Even though I've been saying during this past election cycle, me, Donald Trump, that you shouldn't go after former presidents. That's wrong. It's banana republic shit. Even though in the election cycle before, I was actually publicly advocating for going after Barack Obama, a former president. So again, the sheer lack of principles and consistency, there is no one in American politics as dishonest and hypocritical and unprincipled. No one close to Donald Trump and his top tier MAGA Republican cult. None. You have never seen such tortured inconsistency on something so important and so fundamental as what Donald Trump is just saying there. And the other thing I have to keep reminding people is, and again, folks, I get it. I'm not an encyclopedia on this stuff too. I'm really not. I take notes all the time. And in the moment, I'll have conversations with people and I'll forget shit. And then I'll go back to it and think, oh my God, I totally forgot about this. I should have said this. Those shower debate postmortems are like, damn, I should have told my uncle this. Damn, I should have said this on this video. I totally forgot about it. Trump is overwhelming. I totally understand. I appreciate that. But as a general proposition, we have to remember that Trump was president. And despite what he and his supporters and centrists want you to believe, he did, as president, try to use the levers of power to go after his political opponents. That is a fact. That's not a matter of opinion. So when they tell you, yeah, Trump talked a lot of smack during the 2016 campaign, but then when he was president, he never actually tried to follow through with it. They're lying to you. They are lying to you. We are right. They are wrong. And we have the facts and the receipts to prove it. Again, I refer to this an awesome investigatory analysis done by the New York Times earlier this year. As president, Trump demanded investigations of his foes. He often got them. It was the spring of 2018, and Trump, faced with an accelerating inquiry into his campaign's ties to Russia, was furious that the Justice Department was reluctant to strike back at those he saw as his enemies. In an Oval Office meeting, Trump told startled aides that if Attorney General Jeff Sessions would not order the department to go after Hillary Clinton and James Comey, the former FBI director, Trump would prosecute them himself. Recognizing the extraordinary dangers of a president seeking not just to weaponize the criminal justice system for political ends, but trying to as well to assume personal control over who should be investigated and charged. The White House counsel, Don McGahn, sought to stall this. Okay. The effort marked the start of a more aggressive effort by Trump to deploy his power against his perceived enemies, despite warnings not to do so by top aides. And a look back at the cases of 10 individuals brings a pattern into clearer focus. After Trump made repeated public or private demands for them to be targeted by the government, they faced federal pressure of one kind or another. And it goes on in vivid detail. And then that in and of itself, those 10 individuals with cases, is a separate article that we're going to look at here. Here are the cases of Trump rivals who were subject to investigation. Trump and his allies have suggested that his constant threats to prosecute rivals and perceived enemies, if he's elected, should not be taken literally. His vengeance is going to be winning and making America great again, not by going after his political opponents. But as president, Trump tried repeatedly to use the powers of the federal government to investigate or penalize those he considered foes. While a few of them had engaged in conduct that made them legitimate targets of inquiry, there was no legal basis for the investigation of many. None were ultimately put behind bars, but they had to fend off criminal investigations, civil suits brought by the Justice Department, and other forms of government pressure. And so, again, this is a matter of fact. Do not let people tell you that Trump didn't try to go after his political opponents. He did. And very often, there were steps taken in that direction by his Justice Department. The fact that he failed is not something he gets a gold star for. If an attempted murderer tries to kill you, you wouldn't, say, oh, let's bygones be bygones, shake hands, pat him on the back simply because he slipped on a banana peel when he came after you with a butcher knife. It's the same logic. Trump tried and Trump failed. He may not fail this time around, and he shouldn't get any credit in the first place for failing. James Comey is an example. Andrew McCabe, former deputy FBI director. Peter Strzok, former FBI agent. John F. Kerry, former Secretary of State under President Obama, Hillary Clinton, Michael Cohen, Trump's own personal attorney, and multiple other examples. Do not let them lie to you. He has a record of doing it. He's tried to do it, and now he's in an even better position to do so. He's protected by presidential immunity by way of the disastrous Trump v. U.S. decision. He has radicals. It won't be, if he follows through with this, it won't be Christopher Wray or James Comey who will be leading the FBI, institutionalists who actually care about the rule of law. It will be Kash Patel. This Kash Patel, this guy. What checks are there? The risk is profound. There's also a great New York Times Magazine article about the various ways that Trump could go after his political opponents, appoint loyalists, and it's a beautiful timeline. It goes into vivid detail about a step-by-step plan. Maybe we should even do a separate video about this, just going through the specific article, all the infographics, all the details, talking about the ways that Trump can weaponize the Justice Department against his opponents. But with that in mind, I want to remind you, let's bring it back full circle. This article by Politico was written the day after Trump won the 2024 election. I want you to remember this. Trump has promised to get revenge. Here are his targets. President Biden. Trump frequently called Biden corrupt, and in June, reposted a Truth Social message that said he should be arrested for treason. In a speech last year, Trump vowed that he will appoint a special counsel to investigate President Biden and the Biden crime family, which adds further justification as to why President Biden would give such a sweeping pardon to his son, even though I would agree it's an abuse of power. It's eminently understandable why Biden did what he did. Kamala Harris has been another target. President Obama, another target. Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State. Former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. New York Attorney General Letitia James. Representative Liz Cheney. Obviously, for the January 6th, Trump mentioned her by name. Judge Arthur Engoron, who repeatedly threatened to hold Trump in contempt because he was presiding over the one of the civil fraud cases. Jack Smith, the special counsel who was investigating Donald Trump both with regards to the willful retention of national defense information and January 6th. Alvin Bragg, the district attorney who brought the case that ultimately led to 34 felony convictions against Trump. Former Chief of Staff Mark Miller, former FBI Director James Comey, Hunter Biden. Guys, these are threats that he's made in this election cycle. And now he's going to be in a position to carry it out. So when people say it's all bullshit, campaign's over, he's going to focus on unifying the country, that was a lie. That was either a lie or you seriously believed it without basis that he would somehow turn around and be a unifier, in which case that's not a lie, but you were just deludedly wrong. The election is over, and Trump is already still signaling that what he was talking about during the 2024 campaign, which, by the way, even if it was just campaign rhetoric, is disgusting and disqualifying. And you would never tolerate it from a Democrat, which means to be morally consistent, you shouldn't tolerate it from a Republican, including Trump either. I digress. But it's not even the case. He's still doubling down on this now that the election is over. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think people have every right to be concerned. And by the way, this is a good reason why President Biden's team are seriously considering advising the president to give blanket pardons, preemptive pardons, to people like Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson and others that Trump has just preemptively, prematurely, without basis, targeted simply because he doesn't like them. Incredibly dangerous stuff. And once again, MAGA was proven wrong. And MAGA liars were exposed by Donald Trump himself, his own words from a recent interview. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.